Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast, presented by Fabrica 5. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo. Tonight I'm joined by Rooster, Pooba, Senator, Pagoda, Chef Ricky, Grinder, and Bam Bam, a full house of lizards. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some tequila, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your 152nd official invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to smoke a New World cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. We discuss the release of Padrón's new 60th anniversary cigar. We return to El Tesoro in a different expression, and we answer some listener email, all among a variety of other things for the next 2 hours. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair El Tesoro Tequila Reposado with the Padrón Family Reserve number 50 in natural. A Nicaraguan Robusto on the pod tonight. It's the Padrón Family Reserve number 50 in natural, and it's a 54 ring gauge cigar by 5 inches long. And boys, I have never had this Padrón.
Neither have I.
Yes, you have.
Never have had the natural 50-year.
Grinder handed these out.
Oh,
when
yes,
his,
the celebration
child
stick.
was born.
I am a liar.
I don't think I was there for that, so I haven't had this.
You haven't gotten one?
No, I've
What
never
do you
had
mean?
this
He has
cigar.
3 boxes
Then I owe
in his
you
tower.
But he doesn't have one of yours.
You know what? That's true.
It's a beautiful little cigar.
It's exquisitely made. Wrapper is perfect.
The Family Reserve series obviously has 10 years of age on it, so I would expect that this is going to be an exquisite experience tonight.
And we don't usually smoke in natural.
No, we don't.
That's what I was
It's
going to
always,
say.
it's always a Maduro.
That's the momentous occasion.
Correct.
It's the first Padrón Natural that we're reviewing on the pod.
yeah.
Not
Yeah.
true.
Oh,
We did
really?
the 1964 Torpedo in natural because it won Cigar of the Year a couple years
You're
ago.
right.
That's right.
You're right.
Ah.
What a memory.
But not in the Family Reserve.
Not in Family Reserve. All right, boys, let's cut this thing. See what we're getting on the cold draw on the wrapper.
Of course, it's wide open.
It's like a thick little Robusto.
Yeah.
Cedar.
Beautiful draw.
Oh, yeah, wide
Wide
open.
open.
And the flavor on it is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's almost like, am I getting like a honey or something?
I think it's like a tapioca, very faint tapioca for me.
Oh, that's a nice.
That's a great call out.
Right?
That is a great call.
Very faint.
Look at you, Bam.
Wow. All right.
Must have had bubble tea earlier this week.
Correct.
This cold draw, if this translates to the actual smoke tonight, it's going to be awesome.
When
Chef Ricky.
He's already lighting.
He's already lighting the cigar. Of course.
How's
That's
the-
a breach of protocol.
How's
for the record.
how's the medium warm draw?
It's a, you know, he's an amateur.
it's-
It's a rookie move. It's a rookie move.
It's all right. He's in probation. Right now.
It's pretty funny because you guys were all saying how, oh, we never had a natural. Oh, we never had the cigar. And I was going to say, well, you guys get your shit together. And now here I am.
Ricky, it's not until Giz says, let's
I
light
thought
this
he
boy.
said
Correct.
it. I'm sorry.
All right, boys, let's light this thing.
There we go.
Now we
The Padrón Family Reserve number 50 in natural. Again, this is a 54 ring gauge cigar by 5 inches long.
So as I'm lighting, I have a question for you guys. Has anyone here had the Exclusivo in natural?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did
I don't
too.
love it.
I didn't hate it. Honestly, it was very velvety for me.
It's just hard for me in that line for anything to stand up to the Exclusivo and Maduro.
Of course.
So it's like from a comparison standpoint, I just
yeah.
never reach for that cigar in
You know,
natural.
And isn't there a misnomer in the industry where most people assume that a Maduro cigar is stronger than a natural cigar?
Absolutely.
That's not necessarily true.
Not at all.
So when you take that particular cigar, what's the point of making it in natural, really?
I think it's just a preference in flavor. I mean, Jorge Padrón himself prefers the
The
Family
natural.
Reserve in natural.
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
they make most of their cigars in both, right?
I think so.
I think almost all of them.
As Pooba would say, it's like a familiar friend.
It's really smooth and nice on the light.
Wow.
Have you retroed yet?
No.
You get anyone getting
Oh,
a
boy.
faint hint of lemon?
I didn't know where you're going to
Just-
take that. Actually,
Just say it.
I was waiting for dried fruit.
Can you not call it lemon, please?
It's specifically
What are you
lemon.
getting?
citrus.
Someone's like, "S- s-"
That was like
Citrus tapioca.
On the retro.
Lemon bubble tea.
Just a bit of citrus of some
I agree.
kind.
There definitely is a
little
little bit
tiny
of
bit.
something there on the retro.
That's cool.
I would also say it's on the front of my tongue on the normal draw too. I think
Mm.
there's a touch of it there.
Yeah. This is delicious.
No one's mentioned. I also get a lot of nuttiness. There's even a little bit of a coffee note. Like, this is great. I say this because I never really pursue Padrón and natural, but
Correct.
this is delicious on the light.
Yeah.
It's natural. The wrapper is natural, but yet it's full. It's like,
It's not
meek.
meek. It's not meek in body. Right?
If you had a blindfold on, you would think it's a Maduro.
Yeah.
Not a natural.
I feel like I'm having the opposite. For me, the natural is I'm not getting that intense depth of flavor that I would feel I'd get out of a Padrón Maduro, especially. It's gonna take it might be because I just lit too early, but but no,
We're putting an asterisk on your rating tab for the early light.
He's under review.
It's a demerit.
Yeah, it's all right.
Once again, another rookie move.
You're off
to a bad start.
He's on a pip. He's on a pip. That's what it is.
Is that a performance improvement?
We'll take your
Correct.
training wheels off next episode.
Yeah.
I love that you've been here for about 10 episodes and you're finally getting bullied.
Oh, is he getting bullied? That ain't bullying, my young grasshopper.
It'll build.
This cigar is
The bullying
really
or the
nice.
cigar?
Both.
Yes.
This is delicious.
Super nice, right? Super.
So these cigars come in boxes of 10. They range from somewhere between 320, 360 for the box. So you're looking for a low to mid 30s,
Mhm.
a $30 cigar in your hand.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I like that price point for something that's consistent and dependable.
And extremely
Doesn't-
well made.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
And the one thing, and we talked about this with Opus on the last episode, the Fuente Opus X Viento de Mora, I think it was called, the
Mhm.
Opus Dubai.
Mhm.
And we questioned, or we talked about the age of the tobacco in the cigar and how it doesn't necessarily taste, like aged tobacco does, at least what we've experienced. And the one thing I will say about Padrón for a cigar that's maybe a third of the price of that Opus Dubai, I know when it says that this is 10 years aged tobacco, that it's not only 10 years aged tobacco, but it's going to taste
Like it.
like mature tobacco.
Correct.
And whatever Padrón does, that consistency, like you're saying, you just know that it's going to be really, really solid,
Mhm.
and it's going to pick up and it's going to turn into something great. It's like, that's the entire Padrón story.
It is. And when it comes to Dominican tobacco, I think Davidoff on the other side of the fence with what they do with Dominican tobacco is similar. Every blend may not be for you, but whatever side of the fence you're on, I feel like within their lines, there's something for you. And in this whole Cuban price gouging or whatever you want to call it, these types of cigars, for me, I'm reaching for more. I'm smoking more Padrones. I'm smoking more Davidoffs. And we've gone a little bit deeper into the lines a little bit, and I think that's a result of the podcast.
Are you guys getting like that sweet thing? It's almost like those sweet almonds that you buy.
Mm.
They're like sugary almonds.
Jordan almonds.
Yeah. The
Like honey roast.
Honey roasted almonds. That's what
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
getting. Honey roasted almonds. They
I'm-
come in the little tin.
I'm getting maybe feints of honey, still tapioca for me. And Senator mentioned a little coffee. I'm getting a bit of espresso, I think.
So I think I realized what's wrong with my palate today. Have you guys all smoked a cigar prior
Yes.
to this?
Yes.
No.
I did not. Okay, so usually for me, I find, and I always enjoy Padrones more after a Cuban, especially. But I find that if I start with a Padrón, initially the first few draws are always a little bit pepper, like they lean very peppery. For me, they lean very dark in flavor, and it takes a little bit, maybe after that first third for me to get through where I start pulling out sweeter notes. And I just realized, because it's very rare that the first cigar I smoke is when I get to the pod, that today is the first time I
Interesting.
didn't smoke a cigar prior to coming.
Yeah.
You've just got to let the smoke roll down your tongue,
That's
the
it.
sides.
Yeah. Well, I don't,
So
I
you
don't know.
acclimate.
I don't know if you see my facial expressions as I'm
good.
sitting here and I'm doing all these things to try to get my palate adjusted, because
Well,
it
Or
clearly
just take a
hasn't
big
adjusted
gulp
yet.
and, just go for it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Senator's not wrong. I just had I know you're joking, but I just had an exclusivo before I came in here. To me, this is completely different. I mean, the delivery right now is mild.
I would agree. I would say medium.
I think
I'd say
medium.
I mean,
medium.
mild
Yeah.
to medium. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
mean yes.
But compare this
medium.
to the cigar in the 1926 series. We talk about Rooster with his Maduro 90,
90.
That's a different story.
which is only a 5 years aged tobacco, and that blend, how it knocks you on your ass. Really, it knocks me on mine. I know
Mhm.
Rooster has it for breakfast, but I'm shocked at how smooth and easy this is to smoke.
Sure.
But it's interesting.
It's very interesting and
Okay.
it's complex.
Exactly.
It's a refined smoke.
Yeah.
I'm actually mad at myself that after having the one that Grinder gave us, that I didn't go try more, because this is
These are
absolutely
great.
something that
These are
could
great.
enter a semi-regular rotation.
No
for me.
doubt about it.
I agree. I remembered being very, very pleasantly surprised and impressed when Grinder handed these out. But I forgot, because just natural is never top of mind for me with Padrón. And I think whoever said it's a refined smoke, like, it's
Mhm.
not that other Padróns aren't refined. It's just the flavor delivery is so bold and so present. There's nothing subtle about it. Where with this cigar, like, the flavor's there, but it's subtle in its delivery. And I think, sometimes when you have to be a little more thoughtful about what you're getting in the cigar, there's something refined when you're able to pull
Mhm.
out many notes, and you really have to kind of think and appreciate each
Mhm.
of them.
That's a very elegant way of saying it.
That was
I think we're done here, guys. Let's go.
very well said. You must communicate for a living.
Now I'm past the pepper, the slight harshness I was experiencing. It's like full on honey roasted almond. I'm getting all of that right
Yeah.
now.
It's really quite delicious.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Because for a minute I was sitting here like, what the hell are you guys smoking? Because that wasn't my experience.
My challenge with this cigar is typically I run it hot because I can't stop puffing on it. And that's
Yeah.
what's happening right now,
Yeah.
by the way. It's just, it keeps me coming back.
Oh, yeah.
I experienced actually exactly what you did. A little bit of pepper in the beginning, and then I still feel a little bit of harshness in the back of my throat. But it's really interesting because there's a little bit of sweetness that goes, and then after a while, it's a little bit harsh. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I just want to give it a few more.
I-
I'm surprised. I'm
minutes.
surprised.
I'm not getting any
I'm
of that,
surprised
any of the
you're,
harshness.
It
Yeah,
might be this
I'm-
corner of the room.
No, it's a back. Yeah, no,
I mean,
absolutely.
The only thing I'll say to that, I did on some of the first few puffs with this cigar, like, there's a little bit of spice that I was getting in the back of my throat, but I feel like once you get in at least a quarter of an inch,
Right?
everything just kind of settles in and it's perfectly heated. And for me, it's like such a
Yeah.
sweet and like creamy kind of finish.
Oh, yeah.
Velvety smoke. It's
Oh, yeah.
any of that.
It's
yeah.
it's
Spice is
happening.
gone.
It's happening now. Like
From-
cream soda. Like
From what I
all the
recall,
way.
I also believe that these are actually, for pound, they pack a lot of punch as far as nicotine. And I don't know the kind of tobacco that's in here necessarily, but I know that from what somebody might QC this and say
But
that's
it's very smooth.
it is very smooth.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
now,
I
now,
think-
now it's a different cigar. 100%.
I think what Grinder said, the Family Reserve line, I think packs a punch in terms of nicotine. But this cigar, I mean, I vividly remember when you gave these out, and so far with this one, what I liked is it never really punched me with nicotine. And I feel like this is one of the tamer blends nicotine wise in the Family Reserve line, which I really like.
Yeah.
Can't disagree
Yeah, I think
with that.
that's right about the 26th.
Right.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, exactly.
I mean, I love the 85th, the
I
Family
do too.
Reserve, the 85th. That's
From
probably
time-
my favorite.
From time to time.
Yeah.
Not on a consistent
Yeah,
basis. Yeah.
true.
I love the slow retro on these. It's like creamy.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I think you do need to take your time with it. I think a little bit. If you heat it up too much, you're not going to do it justice. You got to really.
It's a delicate cigar though. Like the wrapper is very fine. It's very,
Mhm.
you can see how much it envelops the tobacco and the binder. It gets stuck in there.
The aroma on the foot, Giz, is outstanding.
It's excellent. It's excellent.
There's almost a sweetness to the aroma,
There is.
right?
Yeah, the
It's-
retrohale, the smell at the foot, smell at the head of the cigar, and
Yeah.
the typical draw.
Yeah.
All very, very
It's
complimentary.
coming together beautifully.
The smell at the burn light is like you're in a bakery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Very slight baking spice, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost a
You're so
savory
right about
aroma
that.
too. It's not just sweet; it's a little.
And I like how
savory there.
the burn line, it's like making my nostrils flare, but in a good way. Like it's
Mhm.
like almost like awakening the
Your
senses.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
it's really, really nice.
Yeah. I think for like an intermediate smoker, I wouldn't necessarily give this to someone who's like a novice,
No.
but for like an intermediate guy, this is it's approachable in terms of its delivery. It's not overpowering. I'm not getting a ton of nicotine. I'm getting like really rich. I know this sounds generic, but tobacco flavor. There's earthy notes in here. There's sweet notes in here, and so for me, this is performing great. Like I could smoke this midday on an empty stomach almost at this point. Do you know what I mean? It's not
Honestly, I could do this with coffee in the morning as well.
I think you get that earthiness.
No doubt.
Earthiness comes through most of the Padrón
that's exactly
cigars.
right.
You do get that earthiness.
That's right.
yeah,
Right.
100%. Yeah, man.
So pairing this with a coffee is one of my favorite mornings.
You can tell
Yeah.
it would be great.
So you smoke this in the morning, is what?
I smoke this all
I
the
would,
time.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like an afternoon.
Like-
go back. You watching the U.S. Open or whatever. Addicted. I was so addicted to the Open. I mean, you guys saw in the text. It was probably so annoying. But
Microfiche.
but this is like a perfect cigar for me when I'm I'm outside and on the patio, and you're having a cocktail. Maybe it's not a scotch, but it's a whatever.
Anything.
Anything, a gin
like
and
Grinder
tonic,
said, with an espresso
an
or
espresso
a coffee.
or
I mean,
a
it's
coffee.
fantastic.
Yeah. I think this is a pretty. So far, it feels versatile to me. to
Absolutely.
smoke.
I'm just curious. Pagoda, did it 180 on you? Are you there now? Because I'm fully on the sweet side now.
Totally.
No, I'm getting a little bit of the sweetness and like towards the back for sure, but it's not like the pronounced sweetness which you get in a Maduro. Anyone like if you have Padrones with Maduro wrappers, you get like for me, it's very pronounced, like very distinct flavors. Out here, this is very subtle in its own right, with a little bit of sweetness in the back.
Yeah, I think the Maduro wrapper might bring a richer smoke,
Yeah.
like something a little bit denser or heavier, perhaps.
I'll also just say the slower you smoke this, the sweeter
better,
the
yeah.
flavor
Mhm.
profile
Yeah,
you're
right.
going to get.
Yep.
And I think the
Dude.
more rewarding.
Yeah.
Dude,
Agreed.
Dude,
Well,
100%. It goes back.
Like,
I said that
I've
before.
slowed down
I
so
agree.
much,
Slow it
and the
down.
sweet notes are
Yeah.
that much more pronounced. It's just it's
I-
burning cooler, so you're able to extract more
Because
Yeah.
the draw is so open.
Also,
you
the
could easily
temperature
fuck
is
the
key. Keeping it cool.
Yeah.
You get that experience for sure. Back to what Puba said earlier.
Yeah, and like I've said so many times in this podcast, like when you smoke a good cigar, sometimes you take that deep breath in between draws, and it like you can see yourself
Truly settling down.
slowing down and
Mhm.
relaxing with the smoke and letting the cigar take you where it needs to go, and that's always a merit.
Some of the family reserve lines, I think they give you an espresso note, like dark espresso. This is more
Mhm.
like chocolate. It's not an espresso bean.
I had earlier for me, it was like a deep coffee espresso for me, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the finish, I'm getting a little bit of coffee.
But I think at the beginning, sometimes, we all use the, I don't know, I'll go back to it again. If this is redundant, I apologize. But I think we all use these torches. And
Oh boy. Oh,
we all use these torches. And you guys know, back at the old lounge, I tried to use the matches as much as I could. I'm just saying, like, sometimes when you heat the foot of a cigar up with these torches,
You're
and
not
you get
wrong.
them lit.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a little bit, and you got to purge it, and then once the thing settles in, I think the first impression can be like, well, it's peppery, or it's this, or it's that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
Like taking your time and toasting the foot. If you want to get the cigar off, like really on the right on the right foot.
Yep.
No pun intended. Toasting the foot and like not, I think there's something to it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
There's absolutely something to it. I think it's great advice. It's a must, right?
It's burning beautifully.
That's how actually Pooba and I first met. Was I was using the long wooden matchsticks, and that's just because
This makes so much sense.
I would
I mean, this is all adding up.
You were like, oh, you're using the soft flame. You're using the matches. I respect that. And I was like, oh, this 6'5"
like this guy.
motherfucker just said he likes me. Let's be friends.
You like that?
Well, you like that. Well, back at that, for some reason, back at that, at our previous lounge, I would just take the cedar. I'd make my own little cedar spills and light a cigar that way. And
You're a craftsman.
I don't know. I'm not a craftsman.
Cedar
He
spills.
distilled his own scotch. He brewed his own beer.
Cedar spills.
He made his own cedar All right, boys, let's talk about the Family Reserve line from Padrón. They have a bunch of cigars. All of the line signifies special family anniversary dates. So the 1926 line, some of those celebrate Jose Padrón's birthdays over the years, milestone birthdays. And this line highlights different milestones in the company's history. So let's go through them real quick. They have the number 44, which is a torpedo, 52 by 6. They have the number 45, which is, I guess, like a Robusto Extra, 52 by 6. That one, Cigar Aficionado Cigar of the Year in 2009. They have the number 46, which is 56 by 5.5. The number 85, we did that cigar. We'll talk about that rating later. That's 50 by 5.25. They have the number 50 that we're smoking right now, of course, which is 54 by 5. The newest entrant to the line is the number 95, which is the 60 ring gauge by 4 3/4 inches long.
Wow.
That's a monster.
A big ring gauge cigar.
So this is 54, huh?
This is 54, yep.
In the mouth, it doesn't feel like that.
I think the box press helps.
Yeah.
It really, to me, doesn't feel that much bigger than an Exclusivo from the 64 line. So any listener out there who's looking for Padrón history, this is the 7th Padrón cigar we've done on the podcast. So we've covered Padrón history ad nauseum on the other 6 episodes, so we're not going to do that tonight. Really, the big notable thing that we should talk about is that 2024 is the 60th anniversary of Padrón, and they celebrated that, as we covered quite a bit on our PCA recap episode. And the 60th anniversary cigar has begun shipping, boys. We talked about this cigar a lot. It's beautiful. It's a Perfecto that's 48 ring gauge at its most slender to 56 at its thickest. So it goes up and then back down, and it's 6 inches long.
And is it what's it, $110?
No, so they announced the price, and this is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. They just announced this a couple weeks ago. They are shipping and selling for $75 a piece.
Ooh.
So I think the greater cigar community is a little shocked by that price, saying that it's another $25 bump from the Hammer, the 50-year Hammer,
Right. Yeah.
which is not to be confused with the cigar we have in our hand. It's a totally separate cigar celebrating 50 years of Padrón. But going up another $25 on that, like we're approaching that $100 price point for a cigar. And it is kind of a bummer that not that Padrón is a budget cigar line, by no means, but I just don't like this creeping of these prices getting to triple digits. Like,
isn't it more of a norm than not in the industry now?
well, it's going that way.
Yeah, so it's heading in that
I was
direction.
hoping Padrón would buck the trend a little bit.
I agree with you.
It's a luxury item now. It's not a consumer
Absolutely.
item. It's changing its whole persona, the industry, right?
I think they're kind of following in the Cuban footstep.
Yeah.
You know, you see what's happening with the Cuban prices. So
A colossal mistake, in my opinion. People are running away from Cubans because of the price.
I don't have a problem with Padrón going for a premium price point on certain kind of special or limited releases. Like everybody's doing it. Davidoff's been doing it for ages now. Obviously, Fuente does that with the Opus line plenty.
Or Monte Cristo. That awful cigar that they have now.
Oh yeah, that's expensive.
That's expensive
that's right.
cigar.
I forgot about that.
That's awful.
It's crazy, but I think like 75 is just a bit aggressive. Like you think of even Davidoff, you know, the year of Chinese New Year releases. We always complain that those are expensive, but those are like 50 at most, $60. 75, like there's not many cigars in that price point. among New World cigars. So I just think it's a little much, but none of us have smoked it. Who knows? Maybe it's spectacular.
Is it going to be like a standard production cigar? Or
I
is
think it's going to exist like the 50-year Hammer does, but I think it's going to be limited in where it is available. I don't know if you're going to be able to buy these in bulk at retailers online. They may only ship to brick and mortar initially. They come in these beautiful coffins, 10 coffins to a box, $750 MSRP on that box. But it's just the thing that rubs me again is, and we talked about this when we discussed the Fuente Legends collaboration that Padrón did and the high price on that box and those cigars. Now, I know that that's a charity thing and that's a very limited release. That's really made for the whales out there who collect Padrón and maybe even more so Arturo Fuente high-end stuff. But what I don't like is that a guy walking into a shop wanting to pick up the new Padrón release, that $75 price point, it just shakes me a little bit more than Habanos does with their crazy prices, or even Davidoff does sometimes. Like, I've always put Padrón in a bit of a different category pricing wise. That their highest end cigar, I could get that Padrón Hammer at any retailer
Anywhere
for $50, and a lot of times I find it less than that. So $75 to me seems like a lot.
But having said that, the Davidoff Maduro that came out, the Robustos in the retail store, about $55.
in New York, it's 65 plus.
Yeah.
Well, that's the New York tax.
Yeah.
Plus New York tax. So,
Correct.
So then they're going for about 75. Has anyone tried this at all?
It's just coming out now. I have not seen any images of it at local retailers. This is certainly more attractive to me to try versus the Legends collaboration. I certainly will try this, but
Absolutely.
that price point's rubbing me.
What shape? What's the Vitola?
It's the Perfecto. So
that's what I thought I remembered. So
Yeah.
like the other thing that's just challenging with that, I mean, we love the Padrón 80th so much,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
$38.
$30-something. So they've got to beat that cigar for me to ever pay $75 again after trying that for the first time. So I almost wish they would have chosen a different size and shape for that cigar, just
Mhm.
because that cigar is, I think, almost impossible to beat, and it's a fraction of the price. So that's going to be hard.
Very similar to the 80 year that you're talking about from
Correct.
the 1926 line, a cigar that we all love and
It's the
smoke
highest rated
often.
cigar on the pod.
One of the highest rated, at least New World.
Yeah, perfect 10s.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
But like that 80th, this cigar is only being made by one pair of
Rollers.
rollers
That's right.
at the Padrón factory. So
Mhm.
2 human beings
Yeah.
are in charge of making every single one of these 60th anniversary cigars. So then you have the scarcity on the supply side of how many cigars can they make a day? 100?
Mhm.
50? It's not a
Yeah.
lot.
Not a lot. And I think as a group, we believe in the ethos of Padrón in terms of, the type of quality product that they put out, the consistency, the ethos of the company, their whole approach to their family business. And if they're going to put a cigar out like this at $75, check, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Let's check it out. And it is what it is, where I think Davidoff commercially does some things that are a little bit more, marketing aggressive, for lack of a better term, where there's more hype in the box presentation. There's more hype in the branding and the naming and you know what I mean? And
Tying it to some random thing like Chinese New Year that's doesn't mean anything to the brand
It's
itself. In the
irrelevant.
DR.
It's irrelevant.
yeah, correct. There's like a wholesome and kind of there's an authentic nature to the Padrón brand where if they're going to price a cigar at $75, I think that family is going to probably make sure it lives up to that. So I give them kind of the benefit of the doubt in that
well said.
respect.
Yeah,
Well
very
said.
well said.
Davidoff does this thing with the Royal, and they have they have these in the other boxes you mentioned, Chinese stuff releases. what you know what I mean? The
Chinese New Year.
the Chinese New Year stuff.
Hey, did you guys try the new Davidoff Chinese stuff?
It's kind of, it's a lot. There's a lot of hype and
It's
marketing
gimmicky.
and gimmick.
Very.
It's a little gimmicky, and Padrón doesn't engage in that. So I would give this thing the benefit of the doubt.
Maybe it's
until we
worth
try.
$75.
You know, maybe it's worth $75. I mean, there's, you know,
Very, very fair.
Did they not also come out with the SD DuPont
Yeah.
Collaboration?
Yeah, so those
for the-
lighters, they've pretty much done, I think, 3 or 4 of the different lighters from SD DuPont are coming out now with 60th anniversary Padrón branding on them and colors. So they're brown. They have the outline of Cuba on them. 60 years, you know, it's a celebration of that. But I would imagine that those are going to go for a significant premium, even above what SD DuPont normally sells their lighters for.
And we saw those at PCA
Yeah.
We did.
in Vegas when they unveiled it.
When does this cigar? When can we expect it in retail stores? When do you
It's
think?
shipping now, so I would assume, you know,
In 2
probably,
months.
yeah, I would say it's going to be fairly
Holiday time. I'm
reasonable to find by, you know, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, around that time. So, boys, let's talk about our tequila pairing tonight. We are back to one of the group's favorites, El Tesoro, but
guessing.
this time
yeah.
the tequila Reposado, which is the sister to the Añejo that we did on the pod.
that we love so much.
We really enjoyed it. I don't think it scored as high as it probably should have.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how the Repo is going to do tonight.
Let's dig in.
Questioning the lizard rating. It's
This
an indictment.
This stuff is amazing. Always is, always has been. Hopefully, always will be. This is Carlos Camareña's tribute to his grandfather, Don Felipe Camareña, coming out of NOM 1139, which has been around since 1937. I'm not sure when exactly this was first released, but it's great stuff. You know, everything's done this, you know, super artisanal methods. I think one of my favorite things about this tequila or this line is that they use wooden fermentation vats. So you guys hear me talk about wood all the time. I'm a big fan of it, you know, because it brings another level of funk and depth and richness to the final product versus using stainless steel tanks for fermentation or cement, you know, basins or whatnot for fermentation. So this stuff it's amazing. You know, I mean, on the nose, I'm getting caramel, a little bit of citrus, canela, specifically Mexican cinnamon, not like you know, baking spice cinnamon. It's just
a little
it's
vanilla.
truly, yeah,
Vanilla's
yeah,
there.
little vanilla. So this is a repo that's taken pretty far, right? 'Cause, after 12 months, it becomes an añejo. This is taken. It averages 8 to 11 months, but oftentimes it's taken a bit later. So that's why it has this
It complements
great
our
flavor.
cigar beautifully.
It's a perfect match for
Yeah.
this cigar.
Yeah.
If you take a sip and then follow with a draw immediately, you're really capturing some delicious combinations of flavors there between the cigar and a drink. It's excellent.
Do like a light drink and then like
It's-
a retro.
it's
Just
excellent.
Just hits it.
And even with all those sweet notes being there on the nose, on the palate, there's still a slight warmth and pepperiness to the spirit, which is
Very
just,
slight.
it's just the agave coming through,
Mhm.
which is great.
It's so great to have Chef Ricky here because now it's just a matter of recognizing those flavors.
Get to
all
work,
right, all right,
Pagoda.
okay, ding ding, he said that.
He's taking notes.
This is a really, really wonderful pairing.
Outstanding.
It's the Repo with this cigar is outstanding.
It has just enough body to keep up with the cigar. One doesn't overpower the other.
I agree. And I think a lot of reposados would pair well with this cigar, where
Absolutely.
I think we probably reach most often for an añejo with a cigar, especially like a lot of the new worlds that we smoke that are a Maduro. But this cigar, we're all talking about how like refined and subtle and medium, not at all full this cigar is, and it just complements it perfectly.
So, Ricky, do you think that the Ocho Repo is kind of a close cousin to this in terms of flavor profile?
They're still made in the same distillery, so it is very close. The difference is that Ocho imparts slightly more modern processes into the making of its tequila. So where, you know, if one of my favorite things about a Tesoro, just like Fortaleza, with their caps, they pay homage to different parts of the tequila industry. So the El Tesoro cap is made to mimic the Tohona that's used in the distillery to crush the agave. Now, El Tesoro is 100% Tohona crushed agave. When you get into Tequila Ocho, they're actually blending a couple different methods. So they use not only some of the juice coming from the stone crushed agaves, but they're also using a roller mill or a shredder of sorts. I mean, this distillery, it's great because Carlos Camareña has an engineering background. So he, and just kind of revitalizing the distillery, he found ways to somewhat modernize it without losing what makes tequila great. And he's at the perfect altitude. His soil's super rich in iron. His well water is so rich in iron it's almost red in color when it comes out of the pipes. It's an incredible experience. But so yeah, to your point with
You just
Ocho,
scared Pagoda when you described the well
He
water.
just dumped it out.
I've seen,
So you know,
I've seen those red waters come out of a lot of different pipes. The old copper pipe.
that's right. Well, the reason why I asked the question is because so when I'm out, I had no idea that Ocho and
yeah,
Tesoro
yeah.
were made in the same distillery,
They're related, yeah.
and that they were related. It's just so if I'm in the liquor store and I don't see Tesoro, I'll grab Ocho because I feel like it's having no idea. I have no idea about the history you just talked about. It feels to me like the flavor profile is like
Similar.
a cousin
Yeah.
a little bit to it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they are actually, related.
Yeah, so I think in making Ocho, Carlos when he was making it, his goal was to make tequila that someone who didn't necessarily have a palate for agave distillates to have them be able to enjoy a tequila. So it's a little bit cleaner in flavor. It doesn't have the sort of intense minerality that you'll find in El Tesoro. Um, so that he sort of wanted to highlight some of the lighter, more feminine, if you will, sweeter aspect of the tequila, rather than El Tesoro is sort of the homage to his grandfather.
Understood.
So I have to say that I certainly have a deeper appreciation for Tequila Ocho because of the event we went to at Añejo. Bam, Pagoda, Rooster, and I went with a bunch of other folks downstairs, and it was a special pairing menu
Yeah.
built alongside the various expressions from Tequila Ocho, and I was really impressed. Not with all of the different expressions and the various like single farm expressions that they have, single barrel stuff, of course, the regular run of stuff that you can get in the store. But I mean, it was really, really eye opening. They spoke a little bit.
Oh yeah,
It was really awesome stuff.
outstanding.
Ocho does a Widow Jane as well, right?
Yeah, they have a Widow
Yeah,
Jane
that's the
barrel,
one.
right?
Yeah,
And that's a Reposado, right, Ricky?
Yeah.
The Widow
it
Jane.
tastes so good.
The Widow Jane collaboration came about when I guess Beam Suntory bought Ocho. So they have Widow
They
Jane.
own
as-
Tequila Ocho.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. I
And they
didn't know
own
that.
Widow Jane as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
And
that.
Interesting.
Widow Jane from Brooklyn, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that Widow Jane Reposado,
Yes.
That'll mess you up.
that
The
that
next day yeah.
is the
pay
only
for it.
spirit, aside from some of the mezcals we've done when I drank too much of it. I have the worst hangover when I drink the Widow Jane Reposado from Tequila Ocho. I don't know what it is, but it just takes me out for the next day.
But
lot
it's one
like
of the best
Chivas.
tasting tequilas out there.
Sounds like, did you say Chivas?
It almost tastes like shivers.
That's an old callback.
Actually, guys, I misspoke. Ocho is no longer made at La Alteña, which is the name of the distillery. They changed in 2023.
Oh wow.
Last year.
Just last year.
Yep.
All right.
So I think just prior to that dinner,
It's
or
being
just
distilled in
after
Japan
that
now.
dinner, is when it happened.
All right, boys, we're coming up to the halfway point now on the Padrón Family Reserve, number 50 in natural. How's it progressing for everyone?
Just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's actually hard to keep pace.
Yeah.
It's difficult to smoke this slowly because it's so good.
No, it definitely has got so much better.
It's delicious.
I think, Puba, you may be right. I think in the beginning, I might have tortured a bit too much. I did get the peppery and the harshness. And as I continue to smoke it a little slower, it's been fantastic.
Does this mean you're going to get a new lighter Pagoda?
I've got like 10 new lighters. I don't know which one to work on.
The space shuttle was a little much.
So I wonder if Padrón is doing like I recently got a box of exclusivos, and the band is a single band instead of a dual band.
yeah.
So I don't know if they're doing the same thing on the Family Reserve line.
I think they're starting with the 64 and potentially then the Family Reserve and the 26, but all of them definitely are getting a new single band. So what Rooster's talking about, for folks who don't know Padrón, they usually have two bands on them. One is the Padrón kind of logo and artwork, and then under that is a serial number band that's kind of just sits right under that. And it's a little bit of a pain in the ass sometimes to take it off. like Exclusivo, I sometimes have to fight it. But they're moving to a single band now. So actually, Rooster got one the other day, and we were joking that it was fake. But if you do get a Padrón now that has a single band on it versus a double, they are moving to a single band system. and
It's
they're
just
coming out now.
much easier to take off.
Yeah.
You guys are lazy bastards,
Yeah,
man.
Pagoda disagrees.
I completely disagree.
Yeah, I don't mind the double.
I like that about Padrón.
I do too.
Yeah.
I mean, keep in mind when we were at PCA, George Padrón talked about the time that he went in and told his father he wanted to change the band, and he got quickly dismissed from his office.
I
It
think
was
you're
like-
saying that's a very kind way to say
Yeah,
it.
very kind.
I think he
way.
got cursed out.
Yeah,
I think
Did
what
the
I,
father bring out the hammer?
basically. I mean, the father.
I think what the father said was, "How long have you been in this business?"
Not even that. He said, "Do you know how many of these cigars with this band I've sold? How many millions?"
That's right.
And he's like, "I'm not changing the band. Get out of my office."
Get the
That was
fuck
it.
out of here.
And
Get
I
out of
think
here, kid.
Finally, clearly George Padrón has been working up to this moment, and it does make sense. I mean, it's got to be easier from a manufacturing standpoint to have that one band than two of them applied every single time. And even for the consumer, I mean, I don't mind it, but it is more work to take two bands off than one. So I think, it's probably a net
I
positive.
mean, it looks the same. It looks like it's two bands, but when you take it off, it's one band.
Yeah.
Then it also give the year. I haven't even. I should know this, but I don't. Doesn't it also mention the year on it, like whether it's
No.
1964 or 26?
Just the primary band,
Just
but not the
primary band.
secondary.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah, then not
You
required.
have one
really.
in your hand.
But regarding George,
Oh yeah, let me
take a look.
all right.
Regarding George, though, what a great guy, huh?
Oh, yeah.
He
Yeah,
is
we had fun with him.
so approachable, great
You-
family man, really down to earth businessman. What just such a kindred spirit.
And that film he showed, and we talked about this on the
That was
PCA.
very emotional.
Yeah,
outstanding.
It was like a documentary made with his father speaking years
awesome.
ago that they're finally releasing now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's on YouTube yet. I hope it will be soon if it's not, because the 60th anniversary, I think, was September 8th, so it just had passed. But it was a beautiful film. Everybody was really rocked by it. It was awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah, culturally they've done a great job, and the brand, the way they built the brand up feels to me very organic and not not manipulated. It's not it's very authentic. When you think of Padrón, I think of authenticity. Back to my point earlier I made in the podcast, where with Davidoff, you feel like maybe once in a while you're getting worked over a little bit with the marketing.
It doesn't feel Padrón doesn't feel as corporate as
Right.
No.
Davidoff does.
It's family run. I mean, the whole thing
Yeah,
feels like
so
it's all family.
The whole
right?
premise of a family-owned business is that you get a sense of a smaller scale production. There's more meaning to it. It's meaningful.
And to Puba's point, it's not just family owned, it's family operated.
Correct.
There are a
Completely.
lot of businesses that claim family owned.
Right.
Right.
But the family doesn't play a meaningful role in actually
They have like a
operating
board
and
seat
producing
or
it.
some
Right.
shit. Right.
Yeah.
With Padrón, I mean, all you have to do is go to PCA and see they had, for that unveiling of the 60th anniversary, the partnership with SD DuPont, the cigar, the entire family, and every single one of them plays
Right.
some role in operating that business, and you don't see that
No,
very
you
often
don't.
anymore.
And
Not at the scale that Padrón does a commercial.
Correct.
That's right.
Because to do that and maintain the commercial success that they've had,
Mhm.
at that level, because you can guarantee 6 ways to Sunday that they've been approached by everybody in the business to scale it up, to do
Transact.
Mhm.
make more cigars and blah 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 blah, cash out, sell whatever, and they maintain their company culture, and it comes through in the product.
And the other thing too, to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, despite all of that, it's family run, family owned.
Well, hold on.
Every person in the family is either working at the factory.
Where does George keep his desk?
It's in the center of it's in the center of a big room.
And you two guys saw that firsthand.
Yeah, there's no corner office.
It's awesome.
He literally sits in the middle of the room where they're boxing the cigars in Miami.
Incredible.
Right.
It's amazing. And then his nephews and nieces are the ones sitting with retailers at PCA.
That's right.
Doing the buys for the year.
But think about how many other businesses in any category where you've got heirs, where you're in a a business that's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, where the kids grow up, they
Yeah.
turn out as bums or whatever.
Sure.
Well, no, I'm serious.
It's true. Most
Well,
businesses fail after the second generation.
Second or third generation.
Hey, kid, you're a bum.
Well, no. Well, yes, because they live a life of an easy life, and they end up selling or cashing out, or
Like Rooster does.
or
Well, he lives in a lap of luxury.
or diluting the brand for whatever reason, right?
Sure.
They don't, but they've stuck to their guns, and that's that's commendable.
And the ability to maintain consistency is really the biggest thing. That we have 8 cigars in this room that are performing brilliantly for us. And we all know that if we go out and buy a box or another cigar, or we walk into a B&M somewhere else in the world and buy the same cigar, we know exactly what that cigar is going to taste like now.
Right.
And I don't know if I could say that for a ton of manufacturers.
I know. And I think the thing that just is so amazing about that, we know that as consumers at PCA, for us to sit there and chat with other, leaders in the cigar industry that have their own brands, and all of them, when Padrón just comes up, what else do you guys smoke besides my cigars? And of course we would mention Padrón, and every single one of them, and they're obviously competing against Padrón, said, no one can touch their consistency. No one.
It's incredible.
That was said several times in that show to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be a result, and I'm hypothesizing here, but it's got to be a result of how they treat the people, how they do their QA and QC, and the accountability involved, and the trust involved, and how they compensate those rollers. They probably compensate them better. You get a corporation involved, all of a sudden, or you go public, whatever it is, you get part of some sort of a holdings company. Next thing you know, your rollers are getting, they're looking at comp, they're looking at this, that, the other thing. And what ends up happening as a result of that?
Everything changes.
Yep. I sit here and hearing you guys speak of the history of Padrón, and I can't help but think how similar La Alteña Distillery and the El Tesoro product is to Padrón. Like, so this is one of those episodes where there's actually a lot of great follow-up content between that Padrón documentary you mentioned. Carlos Camarena has a documentary on iTunes called Agave, Spirit of a Nation. And La Alteña Distillery is run very similar to what you're saying with Padrón. It's multi-generational. Carlos Camarena is the grandson of Don Felipe. Carlos Camarena has his daughter and his granddaughter now currently in the business. So these are both businesses that are, it's no secret why they're making great product. They're keeping it tight. They're doing the right thing. They're staying true and honest to the brand and the spirit that it represents. So I encourage every, I haven't seen this Padrón documentary. I'll definitely see that. But, for the listener who hasn't seen that Agave documentary, there's some great follow-up content.
Sounds like we
for
need to
after this.
broker a partnership with the two.
Oh.
Maybe Padrón cigar aged in an El Tesoro barrel.
Yeah.
With a lizard band on.
Yes.
We can't afford that.
I'd be very curious to know how many more cigars Davidoff makes than Padrón.
So I was talking to answer your question. This isn't going to be specific about Padrón, but this will lend a little bit of color to what you're asking here. I asked my friend cigar surgeon from Developing Palates, who's been very, very supportive of us and helpful. He's been in the industry forever. I asked him what the biggest cigar manufacturers were. Of course, it's Altadis and STG right off the bat. But after that, he said the Drew Estate has the largest factory operation in Nicaragua for sure. In Dominican Republic, it's La Aurora. Drew Estate makes something crazy like 200 to 220,000 cigars a day.
What?
And what he says is that Davidoff is bigger than Drew Estate.
Oh, my Lord.
I can't be certain how perfectly accurate these numbers are, but they're from legitimate sources, including, Cigar Aficionado, who's asked them about this. According to Cigar Aficionado, Padrón makes about 3.5 million cigars a year. Davidoff, you ready for this? Almost 50 million.
There you go.
In 2023, they produced 48.8 million cigars.
That's
also
unbelievable.
from Cigar Aficionado.
Now we have to count in that is the entire Davidoff company,
including Camacho.
So that's Camacho,
Avo.
Avo.
Okay.
That's their
Okay.
other.
Don't,
Their
don't,
other.
don't
Okay.
forget.
Yeah, but
Don't
even
forget
if-
Rooster's favorite, Zeno.
Oh, Zeno, yes.
Zing.
Puff Zeno.
But even if you cut that out,
It's still significantly more.
it's
Yeah.
still really significant.
Yeah.
Let's say it's a third. Let's say it's half.
I mean, Drew Estate making 200,000 cigars a day that's a crazy number
That's
to me.
insane.
It's crazy.
They're all acid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
We're very lucky to have a cigar manufacturer in the industry like Padrón because
Right.
every time we go to them, I mean, I was sitting with Senator, I think yesterday we were watching football, right? Sunday football. And he had smoked a bunch of cigars and he looks at me as he has 1,000 times with an Exclusivo in hand and he
Mhm.
goes, "This is the best cigar I've had all day." And it's like every time you have that cigar,
It never
it's
fails.
perfect.
It never fails.
Yeah.
Well, compared to like the highest quality, I would call the highest quality Dominican, manufacturer of cigars, which would be David. I mean, they really make probably the most premium Dominican tobacco, cigars around.
It's probably them or
Padrón-
Fuente from a
or Fuente, right?
High end.
The like Padrón is like boutique compared
Sure.
in terms of volume.
Yeah.
Mm.
They're like a boutique cigar maker by comparison.
Yeah, and the limitations they set on themselves with the radius of the how many sellers you could have. What is it? 5 miles, 10 miles, or something larger than that?
I think it's
You
a
can't-
5-mile radius.
On the retailers.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty common though.
Is it?
Yeah, Davidoff I think is even harsher.
Well,
than
more
They
strict.
Yeah.
Yeah, much more strict.
Oh, yeah. In the meantime, does anyone have a fog light? I need a fog light in here.
Yeah.
The combustion on this thing is amazing.
This room is full of smoke.
And my eyes are burning.
A little bit, but honestly, the combustion is very impressive.
Yeah.
All right, boys, let's move into some listener email now. We have 3 good ones tonight. We're going to start with one from our friend Lizard Mike, who, if you remember, sent us the Uno Dos Tres tequilas.
Excellent.
Excellent tequilas.
tequila.
And he wrote us an email, and the subject was, "Damn you people."
Ooh.
What up, Giz? Hope you're doing well.
Buckle up, everybody.
I don't know him personally, and he doesn't know me. But tell Senator he's an asshole. Actually,
Wow.
actually,
The
you're
Senator
all.
Accountability Hour.
It has begun.
I want to hear this.
Yeah, you do. No, you do. You do. He goes, "Actually, you're all a bunch of assholes."
Welcome to the club.
As I mentioned the other day,
Hey, I know I'm an asshole.
I love this email. He goes, "As I mentioned the other day, I've been fanboying and listening from episode 1 over the last several months. At some point, your peer pressure was just too much to bear, and I was compelled to just start blindly collecting vintage bottles of bubbly. Whenever I go to
My man.
By
Wow.
sentence 3, he's completely vindicated. Whenever I go to Total Wine, I grab one that catches my eye. Well, this morning, my wife wanted some bubbly to go with some fresh squeezed orange juice we just had gotten off our trees. He's out in California.
Oh, boy.
In my blind pursuit of vintages, I have neglected to be sure we replenished our generic quote-unquote go-to assortment of Proseccas, Cavas, and other champagnes. So I grabbed a bottle of Paul Roger 2015 vintage.
Oh, boy.
I figured it's as good a time as any to find out what the hell you guys are always blathering on about. All caps, what a bottle. It turned our simple BLTA, which I guess is a California bacon, lettuce, tomato, avocado morning, into a bourgeois brunch. And to close the circle, I decided to have a morning cigar after, which is something I never do. He paired it with a 2018 Cohiba Siglo II, and wow, you guys are right. I'm sure this would pair with anything. I truly blame Senator because I'm in the middle of 2023 as far back as episodes go, and he is once again talking about Cuba and enjoying a QD50 every morning, not to mention his responsibility for introducing the majesty of pairing champagne, specifically Paul Roger, which I had never before, to your crew, and by extension, your listeners. Only reason I didn't grab a QD50, which is also a favorite of mine, is that they're all in my aging humidor, so I went full Lux Lizard and grabbed the Cohiba. It was a fantastic way to spend the rest of a Saturday morning, early afternoon after a busy start. Thanks again, my friends, and be well, brother. Lizard Mike.
You could have also grabbed a Zena.
Bravo, Lizard Mike.
I was a little nervous he was going to add OJ to that.
Yeah.
bottle.
Was he
That's why I
making
got scared.
mimosas?
I just want to say I've never been happier to be called an asshole in my entire life. That was beautiful.
It's got to be a good mimosa.
Well,
though.
you're an asshole, but you're our asshole.
That's a great call out, by the way. I'm going to talk about what that line
That's
is.
got to go on a board game.
So that line, so what he's referencing, so the Eagles, the band, were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they were talking about their manager, Irving Azoff. And Don Henley said, he may be the devil, but he's our devil.
I never said I'm going to save any lizard money, but I'm certainly going to make sure that they enjoy their experience.
Correct.
All right, I have another one here. This one is some Gizmo accountability that I'm just going to come out and say it. I don't want it to be, hidden behind closed doors. Full accountability here, boys. Hello, Gizmo. It is that time again where I point out that the Lounge Lizard website ratings guide is depressingly out of date. The last update to the ratings page was for episode 134. Oh, shit.
That's true.
That means it's 18 weeks behind. All a lizard can do is weep. Aside from that stern yet necessary moment of admonishment, I continue to enjoy the weekly podcast. Please keep up the good work. Lizard Taco.
He's not wrong.
Giz, can I be your defense attorney on this one?
Thank you. Yes.
What was his name? Lizard Taco?
Lizard Taco.
Lizard Taco, you're hired.
Perfect. We'll get him the login information. Correct. So, but in all seriousness, I will try to be more diligent about updating the ratings guide on the website. Of course, I keep our internal document updated for referencing on the podcast here, but I will do a better job. And I'll make a better note to keep that.
It will be
updated.
Available for premium subscribers on our website.
Just the card carrying lizard.
Correct.
How much was that again? The premium?
$19.99 a month.
That's it. Yeah. $200 a year. It's discounted.
That's right.
All right. And we have one final one from Lizard Kyle, who is going to be our Lizard of the Week, boys. And he mentions here, he said, hello, lizards. I wanted to thank you very specifically for your recommendation on the Aging Room Quattro Sonata in Maestro. That cigar has become a daily smoke for me. So I'll stop right there.
Wow.
I can't agree with this guy more.
Yeah.
That cigar is unbelievable. And I said this to Senator the other night.
Yeah.
And he gave me some shit. So let's go some more Gizmo accountability. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Senator.
So I have to go back to that episode because I don't hand out 10s every day. We've done the composite, the aggregate of each of our scoring, and I've obviously become one of the tougher critics of the group. I gave that a 10 and said that immediately is going to crack my rotation, and everybody knows. I mean, not just me, but all of us, or at least the majority of us, smoke these
Sure we do.
daily. And when I gave it a 10, I got a little flack, Rooster, and some others were not.
I think he was just in
as
shock.
fair.
He was in shock.
It's not my favorite Vitola. What can I say? I don't like.
Oh,
a lot
I
of
love a
torpedoes.
torpedo.
I know. I
Love a
don't.
torpedo.
I don't. It's not my favorite,
Right.
but once in
I
a while
see.
I do like it.
But I
That's
say
the only
that
reason.
because
I
some
did
others,
give it a 9 though.
I think Gizmo also was in your camp on this one, and Gizmo smoked a lot of those, and I think at $8, and we talk about consistency with Padrón, that cigar, I don't know that I've ever had a plugged one or a really poor performing one. The consistency at $8 is outrageous.
Yeah.
And the flavor it delivers is not only just so enjoyable, it's unique. I can't compare that to another cigar.
Yep.
So I'm standing very strongly by my 10, and I'm calling out Gizmo that maybe you were a little harsh on that cigar.
If Pagoda wasn't here, I might go back and change my rating. But seeing as I can see Pagoda, he's within a few feet of me. I don't want to be attacked.
He will police you.
He will police me. I have to keep it as a 9. But I have purchased probably 3 or 4 boxes now of that cigar since we did that episode. I can't get enough of it.
Well, putting that cigar aside, like all of Rafael Nadal's cigars are very consistent. They're extremely well made. I think that whole marca is a very good mark of quality. No doubt about it.
I will say though, and we did the Quattro, the orange band.
That's right.
Earlier on the podcast, it did not perform as well. There's something about the blend on the yellow band, the Sonata line, that is just an elevation of whatever was happening in that orange band. And we've handed out how many? I mean,
a lot
in this lounge.
I mean,
Everybody's smoking.
I've had many
Yeah.
that were given to me. I don't have a box, but they're great.
Yeah, I've gone
Great.
through 3 of those boxes, and the last one sat for a couple months, and it got even better. Yeah.
It's interesting though. A lot of people do like the Quattro with the orange band as well.
They do.
I see that in Carnegie often. A lot of people are smoking those.
The quality's great.
What did we score it? I think I give it a 10 too.
I think it's a higher, mid-9s maybe.
Yeah.
I'll look
Is
it
he
up.
in partnership with a large holding company like General?
I think he is with General. I think it's General.
Yeah.
And I think he does blending for others.
He
don't
does.
don't call me
Monte
on that, but I think it's
Cristo, a bunch
Blendo.
of other brands. I
Okay.
mean, he's always posting like every morning where he's trying like 5 different cigars and blending for a certain brand. He does a lot.
Collaborating.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I follow his posts. So
yeah.
the cigars that he posts, he's blended.
Oh yeah, many of them.
Really?
He does this for Monte Cristo. A lot of the New World cigars he
That
does.
explains.
he works
it.
for General.
So that explains a lot.
Yeah.
By the way, to answer Grinder's question, the Aging Room Quattro Nicaragua Sonata Maestro on episode 130 scored a 9.5.
Wow, excellent.
So
score.
the 2 9s and 3 9s in the room were Rooster, Bam Bam, and Gizmo. So I share that
Shame.
admonishment with the two of you.
a 9 is an elite score, gentlemen.
Well, at $8 value for money in this day and age, boy, oh boy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
All right, so let's keep moving on here with Lizard Kyle's email. His next question, he says, guys, I really love that you're having Chef Ricky on so much. Can we, the listeners, expect to hear more of him?
Yes.
I think the answer is yes.
I think the answer's been yes.
I hope so.
All you have to do is not light your cigar before we light our cigar. I mean, it's pretty simple, right?
Total line, will you?
There's a lot
put
of
in an
crazy
ice
shit
cube once
that
in a
gets,
while.
that gets tossed around here.
I'm surprised it took that many episodes.
But we love having you here, man. So
No,
thank you for
thank you.
joining
It's-
us. And the listeners have, it's been a resounding love for Chef Ricky. I think he's the star of the show now, which is I'm fine with.
I
But
know. I'm pissed.
You know, I must say he
No,
does
I'm
need a
not.
lizard name.
Chef.
That chef is
He's
fine.
chef.
Chef's awesome.
Chef's good.
Yeah,
Plus,
Chef is
you know, when Habanos comes looking for us, we could just point them right to his right to the restaurant.
Correct.
I also have to note, he's had an impact on someone. Pagoda has been drinking this tequila neat the
Wow.
entire
Oh,
evening.
yeah.
Is it impact or is it fear?
Good question.
Well, I am sitting right next to him, but having said that, a lot of the tequilas, you can do without ice. So
Yeah, especially the stuff we drink.
And Lizard Kyle finishes off here. He says, I always ask this of people and things that I love. How can us listeners best support the Lounge Lizards podcast? Is it merch? Is it supporting Fabrica 5? Is it giving ratings? What is it? That's a great question,
It's
and
a
we can
really
certainly
great
answer
question.
that. And Lizard Kyle, thank you for writing, and congratulations on winning Lizard of the Week. We'll answer that in a second. But first, every week we're going to give a listener out there a special package from us. Every week there is going to be a Lizard of the Week, and we appreciate all of our listeners for writing in. Send us an email, send us a comment, send us an Instagram message, send us a voice memo, whatever medium you prefer. You can send us carrier pigeon.
Correct.
We don't care. We just want to hear from you, and we want to hear what you're thinking. So please do share with us. So thanks to Lizard Kyle. So boys, how can the listeners best support the podcast operation?
I'll send Lizard Kyle my Venmo.
Oh, perfect.
Goodness gracious.
This will be Ricky's last episode of the podcast.
Calm down, Ricky.
It's Chef.
Lizard
Calm-
chef.
Chef.
Lizard Chef.
So of course, I mean, the easy answers are, if you like what you're hearing, the merch site, of course, go buy some merch from us. That'd be great. It's on our website, loungelizardspod.com. Of course, supporting Fabrica 5 using code LizardPod at the Fabrica 5 website that you hear on the front of the episode every week. And
That's
when we
huge.
talk about it,
That's huge.
that is huge for us
Yeah.
because it shows the impact of our conversations with you out there, the listeners, on our partnership with Fabrica 5. It shows them that we're talking about it and you're appreciating it. So please, if you do order from them, use the code and order in bulk.
And also
Please.
weekly listening to our podcast and maybe telling other people about it.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. I think
Yeah.
just if you enjoy this podcast, sharing that with your friends who smoke cigars so that they're part of Lizard Nation and they're in the fold.
Yep.
And if you like what you're hearing, certainly rate the podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
that always helps too.
That's a big one that I was going to point out, Senator, is not a lot of folks go to Apple Music and write reviews. I know when I've listened to podcasts in the past, I didn't do that because it just didn't come to mind. I play the episode. It's over. I move on with my life. You have to go to our page and write a review. Give us 5 stars if you love it.
Yep.
If you don't love it, send us a shitty email. Don't give us 1 star. Just send us the shitty email. We'll read it. Just don't do the 1 star, but hit us with 5 stars. Write a comment if you're okay with that, and then do the same on Spotify as well if that's where you listen. So we need ratings and we need a volume of them. So anybody out there who loves what we're doing, please go rate us.
Yeah, and to underscore that too, for the listener, we don't do this for money. We don't do this for, the fact that we're in a, we partner with Fabrica 5 is because we like those cigars.
Yeah.
Legitimately, not like them, love them.
Yeah.
So
we're smoking a lot of them.
So, if we're making a recommendation or if we take on a sponsor or somebody like that, it's only out of love. It's only out of true partnership and trust. So, just keep that in mind, because this is not something that, this is not a commercial operation.
Right.
Do you know what I'm, this is not something where,
and we're not in the cigar retail business.
we're not in the
Yeah,
cigar
we have nothing to sell other than merch.
we have nothing to sell. I mean, we do this because we really enjoy the process. And, any cigar manufacturer that we take on as a sponsor, somebody that we know is making great cigars and we love the cigar, we're not going to partner with them.
And I'm sure anybody who listens to this podcast, piggybacking on what you're saying, knows that we take what we do here very seriously. We have a great time doing it, but we do take it very seriously. So we're not going to partner with someone ever that's going to compromise the taste buds, the palate, our influence on what we're telling you. We're not going to send you to go buy cigars that we ourselves are not appreciating. So, that's a very serious thing for us when we take on a partner, and that's why we have Fabrica 5, and hopefully we'll continue to for a long time. But, that's really the bread and butter of how we view our partnerships. Is we have to love what they're doing and appreciate what they're doing.
And also in support of the podcast, we love listening from the listeners. So keep sending us these emails, keep giving us feedback on the podcast, because we love to listen.
Yep. That's Liam Neeson right there.
Yeah.
Talking.
So thanks to Lizard Kyle for asking those great questions. We appreciate it. We appreciate all of our listeners, as you know. All right, boys, we're coming into the final third here on the Padrón Family Reserve number 50 in natural. What's everybody thinking?
Can I just make an observation?
You mean the final edge?
We're coming into the final third. Grinder is coming into his second cigar.
Oh, he lit another one?
Another.
Oh, my God.
My man.
Same one.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're generally a slow smoker.
This is one of my favorite cigars, gents. I can't help it.
Oh,
Awesome.
I flew through mine too. I mean, I ripped right through.
yes, he did. Witness.
It was fantastic.
I'd love to sort of do an exercise with you guys. If you could all just pick up your glass, take a substantial pour into your mouth. Don't swallow yet. Just bring it into your mouth, tilt your head back, let it roll around the lower well of your
Let it
jaw,
roll,
if
Pagoda.
you will, and you'll feel the heat completely dissipate, and you'll get all of this, just all of the flavor of the spirit itself just really come through, especially once the heat dissipates and there's not much there. And I just move my tongue around at the bottom part of my mouth, almost as a kid in a swimming pool.
That does change the experience. I will say.
It's
It-
wow.
For me, it pulls out more of a floral that I wasn't getting earlier.
Mhm. Citrus. There's even a little anise here. Like
Anise,
it's-
for
at
sure.
least I see. Yeah.
yeah, like it's, jeez, man.
Mhm.
And we often talk about the G4s, the Tapatillos, the Ochos, El Tesoro, all the same bloodline. G4s made by Felipe Camareña, nephew to Carlos. Tapatillo, Ocho, El Tesoro, all at one point, and I say at one point because Ocho's no longer made at La Alteña, but we're all made by Carlos Camareña. I mean, like, this family knows what the fuck they're doing,
Mhm.
and it's no
coincidence.
Yeah, it's no coincidence.
Yeah, it's a super tequila. And I reach for the Repo more than the Añejo sometimes.
Yeah, no, I think if when you get to a point where you're starting to really love and appreciate agave, you start leaning less on age, and you want some wood there because it does, especially for cigars, it brings a little something. But you don't want to lose the agave with the ultra age expression. So going into añejos that are now passing 12 months in wood, or extra añejos that pass 3 years in wood, um, you start losing those agave notes. Now, La Teña is their genius in how they approach things, and that even in their extra añejos or their super aged product, you still get agave. That Tapatio Excelencia, agave is not missing in that at all.
Right. I had the El Tesoro extra in Añejo. I think I put it out in the text group. It comes in that blue bottle.
Mhm.
And I had that with the cigar on Saturday. Fantastic. I mean, really, really, really good. It almost leans more towards a scotch
Yeah.
than it does towards a tequila. It's fantastic, but in terms of versatility,
Repo. Yeah.
this the Repo is it special, the extra Añejo? Certainly. But this particular tequila to me has almost like, it's got like that salty minerality with the sweetness. There's there's a lot going on.
Salted caramel.
And with the cigar, it almost has this like cleansing effect, but also there's a very long finish to the tequila, which I appreciate very much. And I think it paired up really, really, really well tonight with this Padrón.
I have to say, when coming in tonight, just having the 50-year family reserve in our hands, I would assume that the most of the room would have thought that an añejo would do better with this cigar, with the age and what we've known of family reserve, and what we've learned
based
tonight,
on past experience.
Based on past experience, what we've learned tonight is this specific cigar. Maybe it's the natural blend. Maybe it's whatever's working with this cigar. The Reposado was a perfect pairing.
Yes,
tonight.
because I think it has something to do with the natural wrapper.
Agreed.
Matching up with kind of the. I'm not going to say it's a lighter experience, where that extra Añejo would have overpowered the cigar too much.
Yeah,
and this it really paired beautifully.
Yeah, great pairing, great tequila. All right, boys, I have one more thing for you here before we move into the ratings portion of our program. I saw this on Reddit, and I thought you guys might get a kick out of it, seeing as to where I'm assuming you're going to know we fall. It's two charts. One is the top 15 most attractive hobbies to women, and then the other is the top 15 least attractive hobbies to women.
Are we really going here?
Yes, we are. So, I'll just go through the top 15 most attractive.
Most attractive?
Most attractive hobbies to women in men. You ready?
Here we go.
Reading, knowing a foreign language, playing an instrument, cooking, chef.
So far, I could check all of those.
Woodworking, painting, writing, gardening, again, chef.
0.
Swimming. He just talked about being in the swimming pool and drinking the swimming water.
I-
Photography, astronomy, ping pong.
What was the last one?
Yes.
Ping pong.
Pagoda.
Ping pong?
Finally.
Badminton.
So gardening, swimming, photography, astronomy, hiking, archery, blacksmithing, and traveling.
Okay,
Those are top 15.
What about making money?
That's a good one.
Number one. Number one.
All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go backwards on the top 15 least attractive.
I got to guess
Hobbies
one.
to
I have
women.
just one question. Is there manscaping on that list?
No,
Okay.
no.
Is manscaping a
Well,
hobby?
I don't think it's a hobby, bro.
For me, it is.
Apparently, it's a hobby for Beb.
All
Where
right,
was the survey done?
all right, so this is the bottom 15 attractive hobbies for women
Let me guess.
and men.
Cigars, video games.
Oh, video games is
Crypto.
definitely on there.
All right, here we go. 15 is comic books, cosplay, which I guess is costume play, dressing up as different costumes, debating,
Oh,
drinking,
check.
Magic the Gathering, anime, wearing makeup, crypto, and coming in at number 7, cigars.
No way.
Yeah, that's not the woman for me.
Yeah.
Number
7 was cigars. And beating out cigars, or losing to cigars, I
That's
guess.
a crime.
The worst, the remaining are clubbing, smoking marijuana, collecting Funko, which I guess is those collectible things with the big heads. You ever see those, like Funko Pop things?
No idea.
Arguing online.
I only have 25.
Number 3 was porn.
Check.
That's a BAM approved activity.
Correct.
That was not Puba.
That's a lot of checks over here.
Correct.
Number 2 was gambling. And number 1, I don't know what this one is, manosphere.
What is that?
That's manscaping, I think.
It could be.
I will say I was a little bummed out to see cigars listed
It's a crime.
in the
It's a
top
crime.
15 least attractive hobbies.
Come on, ladies.
to women.
This is embarrassing because I've at
Ladies.
least got 6 or 7 least attractive.
What are we doing?
Only two. I wish ping pong happened to be one.
I'm representing both of those sides easily. I disagree with women not liking. I think a certain woman doesn't like the smell of cigars or cigars as a hobby. I think a woman that's good for the man appreciates that. This is a time where she knows, number 1, where her man is. Number 2, that he's relaxing and he's at peace. And a lot of us have, we all have very like high, careers that stress us out. And so anytime that we get to do something like this, I mean, a woman that's good for you is going to love this for you.
Yeah, meaning this is finally when we talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we're hanging out for an hour and a half, and if a woman gets your attention for that hour, hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
So
This is,
I'm an optimist.
I'm going to make a motion that this is too complicated to unpack.
Agreed.
Well, I saw cigars in there, and I was a little bummed out to see that.
That's a bummer.
But, yeah, I mean, because I think all of us have, women in our lives that are supportive of our hobby here. So, it's interesting to see.
Yeah, if you're 5'6", fat and bald, and
You mean like George?
and driving
From
Aston
Seinfeld.
Martin, they don't care about any of these facts. Okay, I
It's
mean,
also
like
true.
it's give me a break. Come on,
Don't
am
edit
I
this.
wrong?
Yeah, where was the
Do not
survey
edit
done?
this.
I mean, this is insane. I mean, come on. They'll put aside all that for certain shit. They
So
want
that's that,
safety,
boys.
security, and shelter.
Hey, at least we know what
Protection.
new hobbies we should be picking up.
Oh yeah, anime.
And blacksmithing.
Yeah,
Blacksmithing.
Woodworking.
I mean, blacksmithing made the list. I mean,
blacksmithing's pretty
Blacksmithing,
badass.
I mean-
As a chef, it's pretty badass.
it is pretty badass. But if you told me you were a blacksmith, I'd say that's kind of fucking weird. But whatever. I mean, it's definitely more odd than smoking cigars.
I think the survey was on a coal mining town.
Am I wrong? You're making swords in your basement with the leather apron on, and
The leather apron.
Or a chef knife. Or a chef knife.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
chef knife.
I think chef
forging
blacksmiths.
steel. I mean, how much time do these people have?
Steel, fire, and hammer. What else do you need to be a sexy man? Right?
A cigar.
A cigar, exactly.
All right, boys, let's move into our ratings tonight. We're going to start with the formal liquor rating on the El Tesoro Tequila Reposado. Bam, Bam, you're up.
I'm gonna give this
Oh, I sense some hesitant there.
yeah. I'm between a 9 and a 10. I think this drank extraordinarily well tonight. Delicious, complex for what it was, paired beautifully with the cigar. How much is this bottle? About $68. 68 to 75.
It's 73 plus
Yeah.
tax.
I mean, I'm gonna give this a 10 because of its versatility and it's just how delicious it was. 10.
All right, Grinder.
I'm giving it a 9. I also, found it very versatile, very smooth, and I'm getting the tequila bug here, guys, and it's
Ooh, that's rare.
it's great.
You've been saying a lot that you're not a tequila guy.
Well, no,
I think
I
that's
have
changed.
said I have. In
You've
prior-
become
changing.
very, you've become
But,
very attractive the last 10 minutes.
Chill out, man. Chill out.
You scare me sometimes.
Right.
Is it the Aston Martin?
No, clearly it's the cigar in my hand.
That's
No,
a
it's-
manosphere.
Well, it's between the manscaping and the commentary.
Correct. It's exciting.
Becomes
The blacksmithing.
blacksmithing.
I thought it paired wonderfully with my favorite cigar, and I'm just very happy with it and this whole experience. So it's a 9 for me. As far as why it's not a 10, I think 10's a really high bar, and I just need to drink more tequila, frankly. So
That's fair.
Have another glass.
I did. This is my second glass.
Chef Ricky.
I have a ton of respect for this distillery, for the people behind it, the family behind it, their consistency. And I have a hard time thinking of a better repo. I could think of others that are in line with this, but thinking of something better is tough. I think the flavor delivery is amazing. I think it's a great non-additive, so even gateway tequila. Sure, it's a little pricey, but I think this is a great introduction or a great way to get somebody like a grinder, you know, interested in tequila and just curious about it and deliver. Right, oftentimes you'll give someone a spirit, you know, and no matter what you suggest or what influence you think you have, they may just not align, and that's never been the case with me when I drink El Tesoro with others. Um, you know, I'd even argue and say sometimes I'd run into people that can't get into a tequila ocho, you know, and I understand, but that's never happened with me to me with El Tesoro. So I'm gonna give this a 10. For me, this is a quality spirit. It's continued to be over the years. They always deliver. It's a favorite. Um, I love it.
All right, Pagoda.
I'll give it a 10. It's not because I'm sitting next to Chef, the lizard chef. I did have it without ice. Didn't need ice at all.
Wow.
In terms of the overall experience, it was just the right amount of heat, not very hot at all, just the right amount. It gave me, a lot of the sweetness in the beginning, as soon as I would take the sip, and then towards the end, you would get a little bit of, the rest of the tequila tasting, the agave feel was on the back of my palate. Um, I was so happy today because when I was smelling the tequila, I was getting a little bit of anise and I was tasting a little bit of it. And when the chef said it, I said, all right, I think I've arrived. But having said that, this tequila is a 10 for me.
All right, Senator.
I hate this because I'm going to be the outlier. I'm going to give it a 9.
That's
which
a
is
great
an
score.
Excellent score.
That's a great score.
I gave it a 9. You're not an outlier.
Well, you said you need to drink more tequila.
He's handicapping
You're
me.
a fucking amateur.
He's handicapping my review.
If you were a little more declarative in it, I would have counted you with the crew.
Wow.
But I say that because I think you're a tequila guy at this point. You
For
don't
sure.
have to count your score.
Yeah. Listen, you came to for the love of agave. You were baptized.
Yeah.
right.
Well, I meant to demonstrate my maturation over the course of the past few months. That's what.
Oh,
Sorry.
for sure.
Proceed.
No. So I think for me, it's complex, it's smooth, it's delicious. I would definitely drink this again. I would strongly recommend this to anyone who loves tequila, especially a reposado. I think the only reason for me I didn't give it the 10, and I'm spoiled by trying all of this stuff with Chef Ricky, there are some Blancos, and I'm struggling to remember repos, but I came to this. I loved Añejo. I really love Reposado, and Blanco for me, it's always been considered a mixing tequila. I've never gotten excited to just sip a Blanco, and now I've had some Blancos that just have this creamy finish that I feel like I could drink half a bottle and not even blink an eye. And that's the only thing, if I could adjust something about it, I would love a creamier finish on a Reposado like this that would easily make it a 10, that I feel like I could just sit and have 10 glasses and not think twice or feel bad in the morning having it. So that's just a note that I'm chasing in something like this that I wouldn't find in an Añejo, but I would want to find maybe in a Repo and certainly in certain some Blancos that I've had. Nonetheless, outstanding spirit, and I love El Tesoro. I mean, I have only tried before this the Añejo. When we reviewed that, I scored that really high. I'm sure a 9 or a 10. I have it at home. I've drank it, ever since. This is another bottle that will certainly get added to the collection. It's
I agree.
excellent.
Question: would you characterize the G4 Blanco as something
Creamy.
right?
I would. And the funny thing, what was the Blanco? Oh, that was Uno Dos Tres, that Blanco. That was the best Blanco I've ever had by far. And then I had that G4 Blanco when we were at Chef Ricky's event for the Love of Agave, and it was amazing. Super cream. I mean, as soon as you appreciate the flavors and you just sit there and say, like, it's like champagne. When you have a great champagne, you feel like there's no limit to how much of it you can consume and just enjoy and not feel bad about imbibing. And that's the only note that now I'm really chasing in some lighter Blanco and Reposado style tequilas.
And you know what's interesting about G4, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's 84 proof. So
Interesting.
Higher,
it's a higher proof tequila than this tequila.
And you never know it.
And you never know it. So
Senator, that's a super advanced palate you have there.
Don't tell him that. Please stop. I started feeling balance, and then all of a sudden,
He just became a bigger asshole.
I forgot about that email.
Our asshole.
Correct. Well, no, I say that because I didn't knock the score for it, but yes, it's not super rich or buttery, and it's not very
Buttery, yeah.
viscous. It definitely lacks that. But for me, I didn't score it negatively for that.
No.
Just because, again, maybe I'm fanboying a little bit behind the distillery, but I know it's a quality product, and this is just what they were aiming for.
And I'll say that I'm glad I'm glad to hear you say that, because as much as I think I'm deep in champagne or cognac or certain spirits, like, I've learned everything I know about tequila and mezcal from you.
So have we.
And so,
Yeah.
I don't come to this spirit with like, I have a ton of personal knowledge about
Sure.
this. So I appreciate hearing that. And the other thing is, had I scored this prior to having that G4 Blanco or that Uno Dos Tres Blanco, I probably would have given this a 10, because I wouldn't have known that I really love
That's
and
where I
pursue
am,
that
yeah. The
creamy
reference point.
finish with it.
Yep.
yeah, the
And so
reference
now that I have that kind of, reference point, I'm chasing that in Blancos and Reposados. And that's the only reason for me, this singular thing that I could find that I would want in this experience. But other than that, perfect.
You mentioned something really, it's really profound in a way, because it depends on your experience and the number of tequila you've tried. So you're really comparing it to your experiences with the amount. And so for me, I know that, you say creamy, but I think I've had tequila with a little bit of the buttery taste, and I know those are fantastic for sure.
And
But
it's
this was
everyone's-
great. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
also
yeah.
everyone's individual palate. I mean,
course,
it's a
yeah.
note that now I chase, but that doesn't mean every tequila drinker is
Yeah.
pursuing
Yeah.
that same experience. And so for my palate,
Yeah,
that's where I land.
no, that's great.
It's also splitting hairs to a certain degree. I mean,
Yeah.
we're really splitting hairs here, because if you take the Fortaleza
Oh, yeah.
repo,
That repo is incredible.
Yep.
like that has
There is a creamy finish on that.
There is, but
But
it
not
doesn't
the same
have
one I'm
the
talking
it doesn't have the sweetness.
No, it's more
that does
botanical.
have. Yeah, it's more
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
a lowland tequila, so it's
Yeah.
missing some of that vanilla,
Mm-hmm.
some of that caramel, those cinnamon notes that.
But
you
you're
find
getting
in
vanilla
Highland
here.
tequilas.
Correct.
Here you are, because this is a
Absolutely.
Highland tequila.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if we ever had a point card segment.
but you're
Clear-
splitting
clearly-
hairs between
Yeah.
it's very, very difficult to
Yeah.
to
But-
Yes, it's one of the least attractive qualities. We're arguing and splitting hairs over a 9 and
we're
a 10.
debating, we're drinking, we're smoking cigars, we're hitting a bunch of the negatives.
Manscaping.
Blacksmithing.
So for me, it's a 9 as well. I echo a lot of what Senator said, maybe not to the degree that he said it.
You're a fanboy.
Just the intensity. No, I think of Don Fulano. I think of Siete Leguas. I think of Fortaleza. I think of these.
is a great call.
That's a great. That's a
It is
great
creamier, yeah.
reposado.
Yeah. One
And
of my
some
favorites.
some of the ones that we've had on the podcast and others that we've had at the Añejo event a few weeks ago in the lounge off of pod, I do think overall are better reposado expressions for me. I will say, I said it several times tonight, I think the pairing between this Padrón and this El Tesoro
It was
Reposado
exquisite.
is a 10.
Yeah.
But this tequila for me is a 9. It just doesn't hit that perfect level for me that some of those others do.
Still an elite score, guys.
It's an elite score, and
Yeah.
I'm very happy with it. But that's why
Sure.
I'm not at a 10.
Sure.
It was excellent, and it paired brilliantly with the cigar, but it's a 9. Puba.
Well, I brought the bottle, so and I drink it a lot. And I love it, and it's a 10 for me. I think it's very versatile. I find it to be, particularly with cigars. If you pair it with a stronger cigar, it'll cleanse your palate. If you pair it with a mild cigar,
It'll help enhance the cigar.
it can, yes, exactly. It can help kind of enhance some of that minerality, some of the notes you're looking for. I think it's a really good representation of a really versatile cocktail or drink. It's just a great spirit, and I really enjoy it. So for me, as a repo, it's what I reach for. 90% of the time. Like I said, if it's not there and I'm at the liquor store, I'll grab Ocho or maybe Fortaleza. But
Give Siete Leguas Repo a
Mhm.
shot. That's also usually readily available, and it's delicious.
We did
Yeah.
that one on
Yeah.
the pod. It was very good.
Yeah.
I love the tequila, and for me, it's a 10.
So somebody mentioned splitting hairs. I think it was Puba said it a few times. That's exactly what we did on this score tonight, and we leaned on the positive side of it. The formal liquor rating on the El Tesoro Tequila Reposado is a 9.6.
Wow.
So
Excellent.
Excellent
we were
score.
debating between 9 and 10s
Oh,
across the room, and it was just edged out by the 10s a little bit. So 9.6.
Excellent.
All right, boys, it's time to move now into the formal lizard rating on the Padrón Family Reserve number 50 in natural. Rooster, you're up.
Really good cigar. Really enjoyed this. So I love the Family Reserve line throughout. 85th is probably still my favorite. I don't have a lot of experience smoking like a natural wrapper in the Padrón line, but this is a really good cigar. I love the size. I love the shape. For me, it's a little step down from the 50-year Hammer and also from the Padrón 80th, just a tad. So because of that, I'm going to give this it's a strong 9 for me.
That's a great score.
Okay, Puba.
I really enjoyed this cigar. I lean a little bit towards more Dominican tobacco, Cuban tobacco. I'm not the hugest Nicaraguan fan. I don't go that deep with it, except for the 1964 Exclusivo and some other things. But this, for me, is right in my wheelhouse. I really thought the natural wrapper in combination with this blend was fantastic, and it was a medium to, I guess at the end, it built to medium bold, I guess.
Medium plus.
Medium plus.
Oh.
You know what I mean? And I just no, but I loved it. I feel like, but it's also going back to the tequila. It feels versatile to me. It feels like a cigar that I could pick up and smoke in a lot of different spots. And to me, that's a merit in the cigar. I'm giving it a 10.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not surprised by that. by the way.
If for me,
Not
for my
surprised.
palate, I really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
It has that Nicaraguan power, but it delivered it in a way that was sophisticated and good for me, for my palate. So I'm giving it a 10.
So I'm also at a 10. I think this is certainly the best Family Reserve cigar I've had from Padrón. I've had others. I love the 45th. I love the 85th, but this edged all of those out. We did the 85th on the pod. We'll talk about that rating in a minute, but I really, really love the cigar, and I can see where it will fit into a semi-regular rotation for me. If it's twice a month, if it's once a month, whatever it might end up being for that low 30s, mid 30s price point for the experience it gave us. I think I touched it up maybe once because I was talking a lot, but I didn't see a lot of touching up throughout the room. It smoked brilliantly right out of the humidor here at 1086. I'm really, really impressed with it. It's a 10, it's a 10, it's a 10. It's a really great Padrón. Senator.
This is the one Padrón Natural that has blown me away in the sense that I would absolutely smoke this again. And I remember when Grinder gave the first one after the birth of his daughter. I was shocked, but I quickly forgot just because I'm such a, we're creatures of habit. I'm just used to always pulling for a Maduro. So I'm really glad we did this again because this is something I would go out and buy and I will actually stock in my humidor. I'm at a strong 9. I would recommend this to anyone in the sense that I think it's so versatile. Like, even not a novice cigar smoker in the truest sense, like, they've only had a few cigars ever, but someone who just occasionally has a cigar but can appreciate a cigar, doesn't smoke as often as we do, I think would really love this cigar just as much as someone who's an experienced cigar smoker like all of us in the room. I thought it was complex. I thought it was very refined, really smooth in the delivery of every flavor that you got out of the stick. I think for me, again, my palate, I'm always going to be partial to Maduro. And when I pull for a Padron, I am looking for a bit more. And so that's the only reason I didn't give it a 10. But nonetheless, this has some real utility for me in like the afternoon. And, it's rare I pull for a Padron in the morning. And this would absolutely be a candidate.
With a coffee.
Yeah, it had a little bit of sophistication, a little bit of refinement to it that I appreciated.
And when you want a Padron, but maybe don't want the experience that usually I'm going for, which is a really full experience, this is perfect for it.
Oh, yeah.
It is very
100%.
refined.
Okay, Pagoda.
For me, it's a 9. It started off as an 8, really, and maybe it's got to do with the way I lit up the cigar. I found a bit of, it was a bit peppery in the beginning, and then a bit harsh for me in the back of my throat. But it developed into something, I really started enjoying. What was so? By the way, this cigar, fantastic. It's like a razor sharp burn line. Beautiful smoke, very easy smoke. I use that term when it's just you put it in your mouth and you're able to get the smoke right away and huge smoke out. But I remember Bam, I think, mentioning that it was getting foggy out here. It was pretty smoky out here. For a feel of a cigar, I think it's fantastic. I think for me, while the flavors did come in a bit, of the coffee, it got a bit sweeter as well. And but it was in my own right, a little muted. I tend to lean towards Maduros in any case. And if I were to go to, a store and pick one up, I'm more likely to lean for the 50th anniversary Maduro than the natural line. It's a 9 for me.
Pagoda mentioned the razor sharp burn. I lately have been getting very frustrated with some of the cigars that we've done on the pod, and even I've just tried or had, where there's just ash falling
Yeah.
all over you.
We
And
had
I'm
that with that
looking
Opus
at
Dubai.
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm looking at everybody, and I mean, everyone's clothes is clean, even
Even
Pagoda.
Pagoda.
It's the cleanest I've been.
And it just, you shouldn't have to say that, but
Yeah.
sadly you do.
Yeah.
And it's a merit to the construction.
Well, that's Padron.
That's Padron. Fantastic.
All right, Chef Ricky.
Yeah, for me, so this was somewhat, this was maybe my El Tesoro Repo for the night, in that, you know, it's going to be a 9 for me, but I think maybe had it, and it had, I'm not even going to discount the score or take away from the score because of my user error. I'll chalk, my first quarter, half inch even of my cigar to my own fault. Uh, but I can't help but wonder if it were a Maduro wrapper, if it'd be just a little bit more rich, a little bit more of a creamy, viscous smoke. So I have to go back, and I don't know if there's a box of Maduros in there. I might grab it, but I need to see if the Maduro wrapper is gonna edge out the 10 for me. Because this was a 9, and it was perfect. It was, it smoked well after I got over my own error there, and it started a little harsh and bitter, so as Pagoda described, but then it kind of worked into this sweet almondy baking spice situation happening, and it was really pleasant. And I wasn't even hitting the tequila very hard. It wasn't about the tequila influence or anything like that. Just that the cigar developed. But especially for Padron, in my experience, I felt like it was a little bit lighter than what I probably wanted or would expect. But it's a great cigar, super versatile. I could see myself smoking it in the morning with a cup of coffee. It was a fantastic cigar. I really did enjoy it. Um, But yeah, I'm curious what the Maduro would taste like.
All right, Grinder.
Yeah, for me, it's obviously a 10. This is one of my favorite cigars, so I'm slightly biased there.
The first one you smoked or the second one?
Yeah, I'm on my second cigar. Same cigar, same box. One of the things I love about this cigar is that there's a lot of simplicity to this cigar, but it has this duality where it's simple, but it has so much character, and the character I see in is, you have to treat it gently. You have to smoke it gently. You have to smoke it soft. And I'll be honest, I've smoked a lot of boxes of these. I've never had those taste profiles that you guys have mentioned that you found harsh. So that was a bit surprising to me. The thing that I love about it is you kind of work your way into it, and it's a lot about this cigar to me has its own persona that I appreciate. And the balance of strength and just raw tobacco. I know someone said that earlier, but it to me, that tobacco flavor, it doesn't compare to other cigars that I've had. And the way they've aged this, and you can taste the age, and you can't discount that. This is a very refined cigar with a lot of age, but there is a little absence of nuance. But for guys like that are scoring it on the 10 side, we have a bit of a milder profile maybe of our palate, right? We're not as harsh. So I think that comes into the evaluation, and it comes into how you appreciate it. And I mean, I could smoke this morning, afternoon, and night and still get a kick out of it. So and it's, I wouldn't say it's an everyday cigar for me, because it's a small stick, and you have to sit down and appreciate it. And some of those moments in life or in your day are not as frequent. And it's $36 for a small stick, right? That you're not getting a lot of tobacco for $36, which again forces you to really take your time with the cigar. And having said that, I was the one that probably burned it down the fastest.
And with a second one.
that he's almost finished with.
Correct. But nonetheless, this is still a razor sharp burn. I don't have any, odd torpedo on the cherry is indicative of a fast smoke. So I love the cigar, and I loved hearing you guys appreciate it too. Yeah, it's a 10.
All right, Bam Bam.
I echo everyone's comments here. I'm not by any means a mild cigar smoker, but I really appreciate this cigar. I thought it was elegant from beginning to end. I didn't get any bitterness. I thought it was delicious. I thought it was velvety and creamy. I'm giving this a 10. I love the versatility of this. I said earlier, I can have this with a coffee and a cigar in the morning. I can have it after lunch. I think it's an exquisite cigar, and very unusual for us to love something like this, which is really strange.
Well,
Greatly
I thought it was a nice expression of Padrón.
Yeah,
that I think that we didn't, that we haven't kind of ventured into. So for me, I thought that was interesting.
All right, boys, that puts the formal lizard rating on the Padrón Family Reserve number 50 in natural at a 9.5.
Wow.
I mean, that is a perfect score for this cigar and this experience tonight.
Yeah. I just wanted to say with Padróns, I think I've definitely come to know, and even early on in my cigar journey, it was always like, oh, if you smoke a Padrón, then you could get, you're ready for a full-bodied smoke. You're ready for, something stronger. And I think everyone's kind of said even those that gave it a 10, the surprise in this cigar was its somewhat delicate and refined delivery. Right. And it's not to say that an Exclusivo doesn't do that also, but it just does it in a somewhat stronger manner. So for me, that's why, and again, I don't think it's a blend thing. Maybe just going to a Maduro wrapper would sort of.
But what's
bring
interesting
that.
is
It's a matter of preference.
I
at the end of the day.
think of course it is, but I think my reaction to it is, it's almost like the fact that it's a Padrón is also a demerit, which is like the way it was, the way I understood it, and that, to me, that was just interesting.
Yeah, on its 2 feet, it stands.
Yeah, at a 9.5, I would say so.
That's an excellent rating.
Well, on its 2 feet it stands.
Sorry, we didn't all give it 10.
I think my commentary is violently misunderstood because it's not like
It's violent.
I've seen some more strict violence from you, Senator, so you can't talk.
That's also true.
not on a 9 versus a 10 on a Padrón that's mild.
I'm not knocking the 9. I'm saying we should appreciate it for what it is, not have the
Not
influence.
knock it for what it's not.
Knock it for what it's
Agreed.
not. Exactly.
I get you.
Well, it's also, I mean, there's other Padrones that we have done on the pod and that we have given a 10. I mean, it's every single flavor profile, it's different, right? So a lot of us who have given it 9s, like you said, like a little bit of a fuller profile from a Padrón.
It's true, but the merit for this particular cigar is the subtlety is compelling.
Right.
Because it keeps
Rooster-
your attention.
What Rooster's saying very simply, right? For Rooster, we know his flavor profile. He wants a full-bodied experience out of a New World cigar.
That's
So
what I
for
think about a
him-
Padrón is.
Of
Right.
course.
And that's
We all
that's
do.
why he
Yeah.
pulls for Padrón. He's not looking for a Padrón for a mild experience. And so, none of us think that what Rooster is going to give a Padrón is going to be the same as what Grinder would
Or what I would.
or Puba would. Like we all have different, strength profiles that we're looking for.
And I think everyone acknowledges that fact in this room.
All right, boys. So let's do some quick comparing. We'll start with the El Tesoro Tequila Reposado, which scored a 9.6 tonight. We mentioned some of these others, so let's go through them quickly. The Fortaleza Reposado on episode 44 scored an 8.3. The Cascanas, number 7 Reposado Tequila on episode 141 scored an 8.8. The Siete Leguas Reposado Tequila on episode 96
That's great.
scored an 8.7. On episode 127, the Don Fulano Reposado scored a 9.0. And finally, the sister to this, the Añejo El Tesoro Tequila, scored an 8.0.
Yowza.
That seems low
That's
to me.
surprising, and I think it's low as well.
And that was on episode 58. We gave that an 8.
Yeah, that's low.
So this at a 9.6 certainly stands alone at the top of the list as far as Reposado tequilas on this podcast. Let's also compare to the other Padrones. Tonight, the Family Reserve number 50 Natural again scored a 9.5. So let's go to Padrón. We've done 6 others to date on the podcast. First up was the Padrón 1964 Exclusivo Maduro. Edged this out just by a point at a 9.6 on episode 17. The only other natural from Padrón we did on the podcast, which won Cigar of the Year from Cigar Aficionado a couple years ago. The 1964 Torpedo in Natural scored an 8.7. On episode 25, we did the entry-level Padrón, the 2000, scored a 7.5. The Hammer, the 50 years Maduro, again, not to be confused with this 50-year, scored a 9.9. The Padrón 80th Anniversary Maduro scored a 10.0 on episode 53. And finally, the only other Family Reserve we've done from Padrón, the number 85 in Maduro on episode 85, no coincidence there, scored a 9.2.
Oh, wow, this is a very high scoring
Very
cigar.
accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
It all works
How the
out in the
most,
end.
yeah.
It all works out.
It really does.
So, boys, what a great night tonight, and what an excellent pairing from both the tequila and the cigar. Again, let's go through them one more time. The El Tesoro Tequila Reposado scored a 9.6, and the Padrón Family Reserve number 50 in Natural scored a 9.5. Of course, we want to thank all of our listeners out there for writing into the podcast and sharing their thoughts with us. Congratulations to Lizard Kyle on winning Lizard of the Week. Thanks to Fabrica 5 for supporting the podcast. They're great. Go support them. Go buy some of their cigars and use our code, of course. We really appreciate them. And we'll see everybody next week.
Keep smoking.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining us. You can find our merch store and ratings archive at our brand new website, loungelizardspod.com. That's loungelizardspod.com. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, hello@loungelizardspod.com. You can also find us on Instagram @loungelizardspod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.